We're back to looking at the waiver wire for Week 15. We're looking at these running backs. They're mostly zapped. We're looking at handcuffed running backs. We got a few guys on the waiver wire that's getting some workload, but it's not overzealous. It's not to the moon. But the Jets are kind of interesting right now. Last week, everybody was after Braelon Allen. We said to watch out for Isaiah Davis because they like to use 2 running backs. And they did use 2 running backs in Week 14. And now everybody's looking at Isaiah Davis. We got to do another deep dive on him again. More news dropped on Breece Hall today. We're looking at that. We're looking at what Isaiah Davis did last week. And we got to project out to the future to see whether or not you want him for fantasy football. You got to make the decision. We're going to have the numbers and information for you. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing deep dives all day long, every day on these trending players. These players who are climbing the depth chart, that's climbing the waiver wire, those players who just went off or not going off, we do deep dives on them with the You Need series. We also use the Must Start series to help you set your lineups. Click that button. Stop missing out. Breece Hall is struggling with the knee injury. That came out today, not too long ago. That's not looking good. Considering what we saw last week, that's not looking good. From the news, Breece Hall, they're not thinking about shutting him down yet. But it is a possibility that he gets shut down. That being said, these 2 running backs might be the staples of this backfield going forward, sharing the workload. And like what we saw last week, there was a rumor, I'm going to call it a rumor, not truth, from Reddit, that he came in and got an MRI on the knee. Maybe so, maybe not. I don't know. I don't trust it 100%. But the knee's an issue right now. That is for sure. That is something we're paying attention to. Nguanu is dealing with a hand injury. So more reps for this backfield for everybody involved. That being said, that's also in the cards. Here, when we look at Isaiah Davis. Isaiah Davis has some upside in this offense. He proved that last week. 10 carries, 40 yards, a touchdown. We got 6 targets in this game, catching 3 balls for 27 yards. We now have 100% proof that this team has to use the running backs in the passing game. They're built to use the running backs in the passing game. They use both Braelon Allen, Isaiah Davis, Breece Hall. They've used them all year long in the passing game. Whoever's out there is going to get used in the passing game. Isaiah Davis ran like 8 routes on the season going into this game. Ran like 18 in this matchup, 6 targets. Volume in the passing game to these running backs. That is something to look at, something to take note of. Going back to what he did in college, South Dakota State. Small school, but very productive. 18 touchdowns last year, 15 the year prior, 1,500 yards, 1,400 yards the year prior. All sorts of missed tackles forced. 80 last year, 71 the year prior. We're a good, solid running back, a good prospect in this year's class that fell in the draft at a good discount. Also getting targets out of the backfield. Nothing extensive, but he was getting so much work running the ball. Usually when you're hot knife through butter running the ball, you just keep getting more carries and not as much work in the passing game. But 30 targets last year, 27 the year prior. But we got 6 last week. We already know that the Jets are using him in the passing game. We already know we got some receiving chops there. We fall to the 5th round to the Jets. And what's huge with this that you got to think about, we already got Breece Hall. We already drafted Braelon Allen right before this. Last year, we drafted Izzy Abanikanda, who's not a slouch prospect. He's got some goods to his game. And now you're faced with Isaiah Davis at a discount in the draft. And the Jets were like, he's so good, I can't ignore this. So we smashed that draft button. And they did that. And he's starting to get a little bit of work on the field. Next thing you know, Breece Hall's hurts. And last week, we get some work, we get some touches, we get some opportunity. And he drove Izzy Abanikanda to get cut by the Jets. And like I said, this is not a slouch prospect. This guy was very productive in his final year at Pittsburgh. Was a very good running back in the 2023 NFL draft class. Very solid running back in that class. Fell in the draft a little bit. Got scooped up by the Jets. They like taking running backs at a discount, especially when they fall to them in the draft. But this is a running back with a lot of upside, who's smooth, who's got some good wiggle and some good burst to his game. And he kept him at bay, took his job. And what I noted last week is this team likes to use 2 running backs. And the one thing you want to note, Breece Hall is a top-tier running back. And the fact that they even looked at Braelon Allen with those 1B RB2 touches consistently with the opportunities here. He got 14 opportunities in week 3, 12 in week 8, 11 in week 2. Double digits in 3 games. In other games, it was up and down, 9, 8, 7. But still, the fact that you got a guy like Breece Hall there, and Braelon Allen was still meat shielding when Breece Hall is a different animal, that says something. But we were not expecting Braelon Allen to get the Breece Hall workload. We were expecting it to dial back to some degree and them to use 2 running backs still, because they've proven from looking at this to an extent to use 2 running backs. And if the cards are different without a Breece Hall, it's going to be a different sort of usage. But 2 running backs will be implemented in this offense. They proved that going over the season here. Breece Hall, 164 rushing attempts, 692 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. You ain't going to replicate that with anybody. You're just not. Braelon Allen's good between the tackles. Pretty stout runner. Nothing grandiose. He's a good running back prospect. A good prospect. But not like a generational talent type of deal. He's good. He can hold it down and give you better than average compared to like the average running back prospect. He's good. He's a young running back prospect. He's young for a young running back prospect. One of the top running backs in all college football at the age of 17. Isaiah Davis is a good prospect as well. He's no slouch. He's more of like a money ball play when it came to the NFL draft. Also to Dynasty Fantasy Football and to regular Fantasy Football. But now we're starting to get our opportunity. And we're starting to see him get some run on the field. You're going to his touches, his routes ran. His routes jumped up last week. 18 routes at 41.9% route participation rate. That's with him sharing the backfield with Braelon Allen. The 41.9% route participation rate is a major sign that he's getting good workload. The targets too, 6 targets in this matchup. At 50% opportunity share out of the backfield, solid. That's a solid opportunity share that makes you interested in him. A good opportunity share like that, 36 snaps, in on 52.9% of the snaps, week 14. That's solid. Those are good work rate numbers. That's good for a 1B, a running back share in the backfield type numbers. That's good. That's got some upside to it. Breece Hall more than likely out considering what we're seeing. Maybe we're wrong on that. Maybe Izzy's traded. Nguanu's hurts. More than likely not playing. You're looking at Braelon Allen versus Isaiah Davis. Bam Knight is a fun running back. Maybe more for me. Maybe not for fantasy right now. Fun running back. Braelon Allen, Isaiah Davis. They're sharing it. They're going 1 for 1. And that's something to pay attention to. We said this all year long, though. We've said this in the waiver wire videos. We did not mention Braelon Allen half the time without mentioning Isaiah Davis. Unless we were condensing things, we were not saying Braelon Allen without Isaiah Davis. Rewind that back about a month or so. Once we started seeing him get some work, we knew that there was a chance that Breece Hall, if he goes down, that they're using 2 running backs. That if you're using 2 running backs with Breece Hall to that extent where Braelon Allen's getting double-digit opportunities, maybe it's the fact that they want to use 2 running backs and be meat shielded. Braelon Allen, Isaiah Davis, they're just clapping the meat together. No pun intended. Dolphins game, that one's over, but they averaged 23.4 PPR fantasy points per game to running backs. The Jaguars leaked fantasy production to running backs. So this is a very good matchup. If I'm hurting at the running back position, I got to throw somebody in that's getting touches. There's a chance that Isaiah Davis is earning touches here for this matchup. And the Jaguars are the team to throw shit against the wall against because they allow fantasy points. And in the championship game, you got the Bills. Very similar when it comes to allowing fantasy points to running backs. Just dialed back a little bit more. You got the Rams mixed in there. They're okay. This is a good schedule. This is a good schedule. If they got to shut down Breece Hall, these running backs are going to give you a chance. They're both going to give you a chance. They both really should be rostered traditional 12-team leagues. 10-teamers for Isaiah Davis might be a little bit hard for some of you guys, but he's worth a risk shot if you're really hurting. You shouldn't be hurting that bad if you're this deep into the playoffs. But if you lost Isaac Durando and he's not playing, or if you're hurt at the position and you're looking at something, this is a dart throw. This is a dart throw. I can't guarantee you anything. You can't look at this video and say, oh, it didn't hit. If he doesn't hit against the Jaguars, that's not that type of video. I'm covering all angles. How does this bust? He's sharing the workload. He's sharing it with Braelon Allen. Braelon Allen could be the guy that hits. He could still get workload and not hit. It's just the Jaguars defense gives you a better chance in most matchups. I mean, the Panthers matchup, but that's it. That's it. The Jaguars defense is the best matchup you can get outside the Panthers. Bills are next, and they're 2 or 3 games away. And then you got the Rams, who are 12th. Well, how much better of a schedule can you do here? Can't get much better. And if you got championship games in Week 18, you got the Dolphins in there. This is a good matchup schedule for these guys. The Braelon Allen and Isaiah Davis. There's a lot of opportunities for these running backs if Breece Hall gets shut down. You should be looking at these guys full tilt. Even if he busts this week, I still want him. I'm still interested because look at the schedule. Look at the schedule. If he busts and you still make it to the next round if you start him, or if he busts and he busts on your bench, you got a good schedule to look forward to. That's another thing to look at. And outside of that, when you're looking at all the other running backs here that you're pitting him against, like a Sincere McCormick, you're not guaranteed that he won't get messed with like Alexander Madison if he comes back. You're also not guaranteed Trey Benson gets the starter role because we do not know if James Conner goes down. Same with Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. So you're looking at him, he's getting touches right now. You're getting looks out of him, and we got favorable matchups that could buoy his production. And he's getting work in the passing game. He's getting opportunities. Running backs have caught 72 passes against the Buffalo Bills. That being said, he's getting work in the passing game. He had 6 targets last week. Ran on a fair clip of the routes. Getting opportunities in the passing game. That's something to look at. 6-7 passes caught against the Jaguars among running backs. Looking at the Rams here, 51. But they're running at a good clip on the Rams as well. Some interesting matchups to look at here. You don't need them. You can't stash them. You can't hold them. You're stacked at running back. You rather have your insurance policies for your stud running back. That makes sense. That makes sense. He's not guaranteed. He's highly volatile. He's kind of scary. I'm kind of scared of him. Don't take me out of context. I'm looking at both ways. There is ways that he can bust. He's sharing the field with Braelon Allen, who's hit some weeks this year. He's also a very good prospect. No guarantees. But if you're looking for touches, if you're stashing for upside, you got some good matchups coming up. You're also getting a good look here of touches and targets out of the backfield. You're running a fair amount of routes. And also 1B handcuff too. If Braelon Allen goes down, you're going to get the workload. You could be that league winner. And you're already getting touches and opportunities. You're getting double-digit opportunities against bad defenses that are allowing a lot of fantasy points to running backs. There's a lot of upside here. It's still a gamble. Still a big gamble. Braelon Allen could be the hoss. Could keep him at bay in some of these matchups because I really would expect that. If we were doing a 16-team season like this, I would expect that. If they're sharing the backfield like this, it'd be up and down. I would expect them to be up and down. That makes sense. So expect some downs. Expect some surprise games out of Isaiah Davis. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video.